Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bearded Bear Customs Fixed Cup Series. Uh, Tonight, as we head here to Milwaukee, alongside of me tonight as well. Good evening, Will.
Good evening, Brian.
So, race number 3, Milwaukee. And I do believe the trucks do come here this year.
Yes, trucks do come here this year. They went here last year as well. They started coming back here last season. So great to see Milwaukee back on a NASCAR touring schedule. The Xfinity Series used to race here as well. They would accompany the trucks. The trucks in Xfinity would race here the same weekend normally that the Cup Series would be out at California at Infineon Raceway, Sears Point, Sonoma. So they don't do that anymore. Now everybody accompanies the Cup Series to Sonoma now. So kind of love to see that too. Anyway, here Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mile, just over a mile, located in the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds complex. It broke ground in the late 18 the late sorry Brian, it
No,
broke
you're good.
broke ground. I was just reading it. Where'd it go? I had it. Aha, here it is. 1899. I was about to say the late 1800s. 1899, September 29th. I know that is someone's birthday. And then the first it opened September 11th, 1909. Oh, Lord. Anyway, it was repaved in 1954. So 70 years ago, this track was repaved to, if I'm not mistaken, concrete, and there is um, asphalt in the corners. So it's opposite of Martinsville, if you think about it, Brian.
Huh. That's pretty neat.
There is There is a point 0.8 of a mile, 1.3 kilometer road circuit located in the infield. I would almost hate to see what that looks like. There's not a map for it on Wikipedia. If there is, I'm not seeing it. But anyway, so NASCAR Truck Series started coming here, not the inaugural year, but the second year of asking for the Truck Series, and they've been on and off, as we've talked about, ever since. Arca Menard Series has been hosting races on and off here ever since 1982. IndyCar and CART, they don't have CART on here, but CART should be on here, but unfortunately, whoever did the Wikipedia page for Milwaukee gave CART the low blow. So, CART and its accompanying series has been coming here since, it says Indy Lights, since 86, so we could just throw that in with CART, I'm assuming. Can-Am and the USAC stock cars been coming here since the 1960s, so it's been very present in a lot of racing series. ASA. I used to watch the ASA races from the Speed Channel here. Whenever Speed Channel was a thing, a lot of people will remember Speed Channel. The infield road course from 1954 to present. So it's got 10 turns, Brian.
Nice.
It was originally a dirt track. The track by 1876, so 1891, the site was purchased by the Agricultural Society of the state of Wisconsin to create a permanent site for the Wisconsin State Fair, which it still is to this day.
Okay.
So,
Nice. A lot of history
yep.
behind the track. Real quick, the race information. As you see here, it's in West Allis, Wisconsin. Like you said before, track length a mile. 78-degree weather, 45% humidity, partly cloudy, 2 mile per hour wind. They get 75% fuel, 125 laps, 4 tires, 0 quick fixes, and 3 green, white checkers. Go over the starting grid real quick. You see there, P1 would be Tyler Myers, P2 would be Aaron Bradford, P3 would be Jaden Sanchez, P4 would be Jason Pearson, P5 would be Chris Cornett, P6 would be Clint Hayfield, P7 would be Eric Cordera, P8 would be Christopher Campbell, P9 would be Joe Stipe, P10 would be Brandon Moore, P11 would be Matthew, P12 would be Pete Woodrum, P13 will be Justin Steves, P14 will be Paul Lawson, and bringing it in the back will be Philip Bridgman and P15.
The road course of the Milwaukee Mile looks very confusing. Not quite confusing, just different. NFL stadium in the middle of the quarter mile.
Right.
No, I'm just going on while you were doing all that. So, 15 drivers here tonight, so decent field for the Milwaukee Mile. Some just probably don't have the track, or it just could be a bad night for them tonight. Could have had other things going on, Brian. So, 15 competitors out here tonight. Broken record, or it was at least scratched. Not sure which. Tyler Myers with the pole. So, we talked to some of the drivers. They said that fuel mileage anywhere between 70 to 80 laps here this evening, and others keeping it in fourth gear all the way around, others in fifth. Some are shifting, some are not. So that's to be on a watchful eye when we do ride on board, see how some of these drivers are faring. Basically 125 miles tonight, since it's 125 laps.
Yes, sir.
It hosted the Green Bay Packers from 1934 to 1951, including the NFL Championship game in 1939.
There you go.
Also served home as the Milwaukee Chiefs from 1940 to 41.
Pace car is off, Will, and the green flag is out.
And you see where the pace car dives into pit road. It's just past turn 4. And like you say, green flag is out. Action here at the Milwaukee Mile. Oh, action already. Bradford getting loose and collecting Pearson. He really overdrove turn 1, and the front end just started to walk away from him, Brian.
Oh, yeah. Getting down high speeds like this, they should be all right.
Yes. These straightaways, you carry a lot of speed, whether it's a restart, a start, just a natural hot lap. You kind of carry so much speed into the corners that sometimes you can miss your braking point. And also, this is predominantly a single lane track, so it's a start of a race. Normally, the way these races are set up here, it's a fresh track to start the race, if I'm not mistaken, Brian. So you have it set up that way to carry over as a fresh track, if I can remember right. So there's no rubber laid down on that second groove out there, so car will be extra slippery. I think Campbell was going to the wall to avoid that, and unfortunately, in a way, count him in as part of the caution as well.
Yeah, he was up there trying to avoid it. Plus, you are still on cold tires, Will. Cold tires.
Yes, indeed.
Will do a number. That's why I said try to carry less speed if you can, and then
you don't
gradually get on it. Don't mash down on it. I think
you don't have You don't have the tires up to temperature yet, like you alluded to. You're just going into turn one for the first time of asking on basically a green track, cold tires, and some racing series around the world will use tire warmers, but for the most part, another. The rest of the series don't. Tire warmers are basically like these blankets that you uh, plug electrical umbilical cords to heat up the tires. Of course, if anyone doesn't know what tire blankets are, that is what they are. And when you basically set those blankets for a certain temperature to use to where it'll be just optimal to put the tires on the car, right? And they're already basically preheated. It's like sticking, some wheat into an oven and you're going to make some bread, but it's only going to get to a certain temperature, right, Brian? So,
Yes, sir.
some racing series have been going away from tire warmers or tire ovens as well, and just going to hey, what you got, whatever temperature there are, and setting there either on your pit stall or at the garage stall is the temperature they're on the car. So like we've talked about, iRacing and of course the NASCAR Cup Series is a series that doesn't run with tire blankets or warmers of any kind. They just sit in that pit box. And green flag is back out. Of course, in the real world, you go to the Goodyear hauler. Goodyear brings at least a couple of haulers of loaded with tires to the race every weekend, and you got to go with a couple of little dollies. Oh no, trouble again! In the exit of turn two, man, Brian, we can't seem to get some laps under our belt this evening. Off the start, back-to-back cautions, breeding already.
Yeah, Eric.
Out.
That outside line is slick, I see.
It's very slick. It's very treacherous. You want to be right on that bottom lane, just off that white line. You don't want to hit the curbing here. It doesn't matter what car you're in, you don't want to hit the curbing. It will shoot you up, walk you up the track. As we ride on board here, we're looking from Philip Bridgman's third-person point of view here as he's committed to that outside lane. He's really sticking it to it, but unfortunately, like you said, Eric gets breaking loose in front of him, just like we saw in a way with Bradford. That front end starts to snap away. And unfortunately, Bridgman already committed to that outside lane. Nowhere to go when the Red Bull comes back up the track.
Oh, yeah.
I think Campbell just was able to stop. So Campbell wasn't involved. Good IQ driving for Campbell on both incidences. I know he might have went to the wall on the first crash, but he had good intentions. He was trying to avoid it. He just ran out of real estate. So
next week, will these drivers go to Road America?
yes, indeed. We really put a doozy to these drivers, haven't we, making these schedules and trying to throw in some oddballs, to maybe not necessarily oddballs, but we're just kind of keeping it in the same real estate of Wisconsin. Milwaukee Mile this week, next week. Just go over there to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and race. Why don't you guys? So I think, once we can get some laps, hopefully it'll be a nice race here tonight. Some folks just probably aren't accustomed to Milwaukee, and of course these cars can be just a wild character to drive. These Gen 7 next gen Cup cars can be a doozy. So, but yes, next week Road America, that 4-mile road course up there in Wisconsin, like we talked about already before. Basically, the American version of Spa is what a lot of European racing drivers will call it. So that's always nice to get that credit. If I'm not mistaken, Road America has been in existence ever since the early 50s. So it has a lot of heritage to itself as well. Maybe even before that. I'd have to truly get on the wiki for that. I have a phone call.
As you see here, the pace car is going to pull off, and Myers is going to take the green flag as they head into turns 1. If they can get nice and easy, they'll be able to complete it. They take lap 10 as you ride on board with Brandon Moore.
I believe Jaden stayed out,
Yes.
so, but shouldn't really matter too much. Don't have too much time or laps on the tires, so.
See there, Bradford, loosey goosey.
I could just imagine, with these low-profile tires, or sidewall tired, I could just imagine how difficult it can be, to get into these corners from the top speed that they're carrying down these straightaways.
Oh yeah. Patience is key here with these cars. Gotta have it. Gotta gradually get on the throttle. You can't just mash down, you just gotta easy ride. See Phillips cars out here, well, looking like modified here.
Yep, still has that lingering damage from that previous incident.
See there, the 2 getting to the quarter of the 31 after just coming out of the pits. The one of Justin Steve's back there. Pacing himself, taking his time. You see there Matt now coming out, so merging onto the track is a little tough, especially coming out of the pits. So you want to also be a little careful with that as well. So
yeah, you want to be very careful with that because it's a narrow pit exit coming out of the pit road, so.
You see Brandon Moore, well, gets by Joe Stipe there in that 4 car. I think Joe about lost her. Come back here. Justin Steves. Chris Campbell. If you pace yourself, you will have the long run car. It's not all about speed, Will. You want the stability. You want the stability under your car. Because if you ain't got it, you're going to be all over the place. And you're in for a wild run tonight, so. See there, JP, Joe Stipe. Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. See, they're a little tight out there. You want to be gentle on the throttle so that rear don't slip. Well, with these cars, they like to get tail happy, so the rear would kick out, just like that by the two.
Yep, you got to be very careful, like you talked about earlier. You know, getting back to the throttle, the power to weight ratio with these cars, and just, you know, also the tire, which lane you need to be in as well. I talked about normally that preferred lane down there on the bottom, just above that white line. Now, we have in the past seen how some drivers can make the high line work here almost up to the wall, but others can make the middle lane work just above that asphalt strip in the corners is what I would call the middle lane, where we've kind of seen a bit of calamity already tonight. So the more drivers will run there, the more rubber will get laid down, of course. So that'll make it opportune maybe later on in the running, but time will tell.
Yes, sir, indeed.
Very hard track to pass at here, the Milwaukee Mile. It's just normally you just got to wait for that competitor in front of you to make a mistake, slip up, or you can give them the old chrome horn, the old bump and run, but you just got to be careful doing that as well because of how flat this track is.
In the next handful of laps, well, we will be coming up to 100 laps to go. So,
yes, indeed, and it looks like for the most part everybody's just being patient, figuring out their car, logging some laps. We have had a couple of cautions, so maybe that has hopefully calmed down everybody. You see a lot of separation here. You got Campbell and Bridgman might be the closest pairing besides here, the 4 and the 1 of Justin Steves. You got Hayfield. So little battle groups here and there, but Jaden's got a second lead over Tyler Myers and Chris Cornett. Second and third. Cornett is almost 6 seconds back in third place. Brandon Moore is fourth, 6 seconds back. And JP, who we were just looking at a few moments ago, he's staying comfortably. He always, just about almost all the time, Brian, is averaging that 5th or 6th position. It almost doesn't matter where we are. He's almost trying to be in that top 5, which, hey, goals. Each race, you always want to set goals for yourself. And sometimes that's just the goal that Jason is setting, just be in the top 5.
oh yeah.
That's what I would always do, if 15 people showed up, all right, well, I need to finish at least 7th or 5th, As you see there, Myers really able to pivot down the corner. That's a good way of cornering here at the Milwaukee Mile, is really diamonding the corners. You could either diamond them or you can arch the corners to basically where you hit the center of the apex of the corner almost each time. I was going to check the banking of the track, and I keep getting sidetracked. I skimmed over it earlier. Yes, turns. So 9.2 degrees of banking in the turns. It's it's a little bit of banking, still enough to carry that speed. You got to let it roll. You really have to let it roll here sometimes. The straights are 2.5 degrees of banking, so it's still relatively flat. I almost want to look up New Hampshire real quick to see the difference, because the New Hampshire and Milwaukee pretty much almost very similar. The only difference is New Hampshire is completely asphalt. I've looked up so many racetracks that my Google the Google already knows. Like, I just type in New Hampshire and it's like New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Don't need to. So Milwaukee has more banking than New Hampshire. New Hampshire has anywhere between 2 to 7 degrees of banking and 1 degree of banking on the straightaway, so it is flatter than Milwaukee. Oh man, the tide machine in the wall. Hopefully Chris Cornett is all right. Don't have any steer problems. He could have knocked a toe out really easily there with that hard of a hit. Do you see what he did going into turn one, trying to get a good feel for the car before you enter the corner after contact with the wall, kind of seeing if he had any sort of damage. Looks like he is going to bring it down to pit road if he can get there. Coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, he did.
He was just riding pretty calmly too. Really sucks for Cornett. He was inside the top 5. Oh, JP with a moment going into turns 1 and 2, and as we saw earlier, back end, just front end, back end, both just decided to leave him for just a moment, because some of the other melee that we have had earlier in the race, Brian, we have only 7 cars on the lead lap.
That we sure do.
With the incident that Chris Cornett just suffered, that's going to leave us 7 cars currently.
Very unfortunate.
Joe Stipe.
That's for sure.
Oh yeah. But hey, we've seen the same thing happen at New Hampshire before as well.
Yes, we have. See Matthew Hunsaker in the pits.
Jaden, in a way, looking for back-to-back wins in the B&R Cup Series. He won Saturday in the open side of things, the open set Cup Series side of things on Saturday at Auto Club. So, looking to, in a way, go back-to-back wins, this time in the fixed side of things. So,
See Joe Stipe there had a little bobble last lap, which allows Campbell to get closer and try to make that pass for 6th place.
what is that, 90 laps to go here tonight. So these drivers really ticking them away now, Brian, as they're able to get some good green flag running in.
That they are, and that's always good to see. So
These cars may be a struggle.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. As much as a struggle as these cars may be, you finally get a good knowledge of what the car is going to handle, over this period of time. How deep can I drive it into the corner? Where do I need to let off before I enter the corner, etc. So we currently have 4 cars sitting in the pits, either repairing damage or maybe deciding to pack it up for the night. Time will do tell on that. So Brandon Moore getting into 3rd place. He knocked into the podium spot once we've seen JP and a few others kind of just slip and sliding. Like I said here, it's tough to pass, but when your competitors make the mistakes, that's when you capitalize. That's when you can make the pouncing. But as we know, Brandon Moore is another one of those competitors that is really good at just saving the tires. So wonder how he's faring here tonight, saving the tire. I think Joe Stipe is about to go a lap down to our race leader, Jaden. No, he's still got a good minute to go. My apologies.
No, you're good. 40 of 125 in the books.
The track map had confused me.
Yeah. Setting the pace at the moment, about 3 seconds over Tyler Myers there, who's riding.
JP and Joe in a battle now. Well, at least they're close enough. Sorry, Brian. But yeah.
No, you're good.
Maybe we might see live green flag action pit stops. Hopefully I just didn't jinx us. But, it happens. If we don't. Myers really falling off that pace now. He was showing some real good pace. Hopefully catching Sanchez, but never could get to the back of him. Almost falling into the clutches of Be More there. So we don't have any drivers 1 lap down, but we have Hayfield and Cornette 2 laps down. Pete Woodrum is 4 laps down. And Eric Cordair is 7. Like I said, we have 4 cars in the pits at the moment.
As you see here behind Tyler, that's Brandon Moore. And you hear how much you have to lift. Let it roll.
We came here in the 87 series, and we had some drivers lifting right at the start-finish line.
Yeah, we did. I forgot about that.
As you see on the track map, the start-finish line is placed almost right as you would almost kind of want to start to even maybe brake for turn 1 anyway if you look at the track map. So it's placed a little ways down the front straightaway here, so it's not exactly in the middle. Like I said, if you was to look at the track map at the almost top right of your screen, it's not exactly in the middle of the straightaway. So you gotta come off turn 4 and boogie a little bit down the straights here to get to that stripe. closing in on 50 laps of running, 45 in the books. Jaden somewhat been the dominant factor at this moment of time.
The question is when they hit the pit stops, can you get slowed down in time?
Well, can you get slowed down in time? Can you not make a mistake? We've seen drivers already this season in the early goings of each race just about make some sort of mistakes, whether it be a speeding penalty or overshooting the pit box. And like we talked about, this pit road is quite treacherous to get onto as well. If anyone has ever watched a race from here in the real world, Milwaukee, do you have a pit road entry cam, Brian, that maybe we could give the viewers some justice? Or I know this camera, whenever it rotates, it right there is the pit road entry, so you kind of see just how wacky the pit road entry is. That's the exit. So that one long view was a pretty decent. Oh, okay, we got a free cam. Got free cam. We're gonna do it the hard, old-fashioned way here. Brian's gonna give us a good point of view here. Right here, bam. So it's almost a blind entry just about into the pits, what some would consider a blind pit entry, because you coming out of 3 and 4 here, and the normal racing line is to kind of follow up to the wall, but when you're pitting, you want to get right up, like you see that what would probably be the commitment line in the real world, but not, I don't think that is in iRacing. Normally in iRacing is when you go past the barrels at least. But as you see here, it is a fairly odd pit road entry. If anyone has ever seen racing from Lime Rock Park up in Connecticut, that's basically the opposite pit road, or not. It is the exact same, just on the opposite side of the car, is what I'm trying to say. So as you dive to the left here on the final corner at Lime Rock, you're diving to the right and you're looking for a hole in the wall. So Long Beach International Raceway does kind of have a similar pit road as well, to where there's a gap in the wall and you got to dive towards the gap.
That's right there, right when you come out the last turn there. It's like a very,
yes.
It's a very not so big hole on the right side. So when you come out of the final turn, once you slow down to maybe second or first gear to make that sharp right-hand turn, once you giddy up on the throttle wheel, it is open right there. So you got to make a hard, sharp right to pull into the pits. Excuse me, but these drivers will see that, because I do believe the fixed side of things do go to Long Beach.
Yes, indeed. We had to rework the schedule a little bit to figure out where we could take these drivers on the fixed side of things, because where we originally wanted to go, there wasn't a setup for. So
when is there ever, right?
Exactly.
But luckily, last season, actually no, it was the beginning of this year. iRacing, they said, all right, well, let's throw a little doozy at everybody. Let's put these Gen 7 cars, that's what we're going to call them, Gen 7 cars on Milwaukee Mile. So they end up putting a set in, and here we sit.
Yep, that's why we're able to run here, like you say. So applaud iRacing for that, because I do believe that the Cup Series should actually come here and race. It's as we talked about at the top of the show, it is a historic venue in America. So I believe that the Cup Series should be racing here, but they're not. So
I agree with you. I believe that they should. But I am interested for them to bring back Rockingham when they do. I know Rockingham is getting repaved, so
Yeah, they just put a fresh coat of pavement down on Rockingham, like you said. That just got repaved. Um,
so hopefully by next year we can see Rockingham back on the schedule.
Either maybe next year or the year after, because I know they still had a little bit more of renovations in the infield and up in the press box and stuff that they were working on, trying to put some finishing touches on. Ironically enough, there's another Rockingham Speedway that's just setting abandoned over there in the UK, just outside of, I believe, England. Um, I'm not exactly 100% sure where it sets in the UK, but I'd have to be another one of those Google searches. But it's also called Rockingham, Brian, and it's somewhat similar to our Rockingham over here in the States. But man, there's some people that use like drones, and they go droning or whatever you call that nowadays. But and they've uploaded their footage on YouTube, and it's almost really eerie, creepy how like a big facility like that is just, they had an infield roval circuit. It was a big kind of thing because like the NASCAR Euro Series back whenever it was first formed went there, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of crazy to see how modern tracks are just going to the wayside, I guess you could say. Lawson back out on the track.
I'll tell you what, Brandon Moore's catching Jaden.
Oh, yes, he is. He is running down the 22 Pennzoil machine. So Jaden is about to have a threat here for possibly the lead, as he is kind of lapping or going through the traffic here. Both of these drivers having to struggle through the same traffic. We might, as this race lingers on in green flag running, we might get to see a green flag scheduled pit stop as the fifth place competitor goes a lap down, Jason Pearson. So that leaves Justin Steves, Tyler Myers, Brandon Moore, and of course the race leader, Jaden Sanchez, on the lead lap as 4 drivers are left on the lead lap.
Yes, indeed, Will. Brandon is starting to put Jaden in the clutches.
And he's there. He is there now.
Will Brandon give him a little bumper run? All depends, really. Or he's gonna try to get Jaden off his rhythm.
Jaden's probably maybe looking in his mirror a little bit here, wondering just exactly where Brandon may point his car. As Jaden has been leading a good portion of this race. He wasn't the pole sitter, that was Tyler Myers this evening, but I would say since the second caution, I think, is when Tyler pitted, so
if you listen close, you can hear all the throttle control going on by Brandon Moore. Feathering it, on it, feather off, on, off. So it just...
And Brandon in 3 and 4 is kind of taking a double arc. He's trying to do the same thing in 1 and 2, but he's diamonding the corner in 1 and 2. And he was just able in 1 and 2 right there just to get back to the throttle, I think, better than Jaden. And you saw gave Jaden a knock on the back bumper. I do believe that old old Taurus Brandon is just better at the tire saving game when it comes to just conserving the tire.
There's the bump. He said, hey, faster than you.
That's why we always see, Brandon just riding, just getting a feel for his car or truck, and just seeing how the race will play out a little bit. If he's not already at the front, we will see him just slowly, gradually make his way up through the field. You see Brandon, he lifts before you can see that nose dive, and he's lifting before the start-finish line. Or right, just a right before it is when Brandon is lifting on the front straightaway. The back straightaway, it's been almost every lap has been varying on the back straightaway, but for the most part, he's been lifting at the same point on the front just about every time. Caleb Sellner in the 87 series, it was not, it was not broadcasted, as we see Brandon Moore sticking it to the outside of the 22, getting a tremendous run on the entry of the corner and just able to drive to the outside. What's he going to do here in 3 and 4? Gets the same run on that outside lane. We talked about this outside lane, Brian. It'll come in eventually, and for sure it finally has. Enough people race up there, put enough rubber blade down, it'll surely come in. We talked about Caleb Sellner. He was lifting in the 87 series here. He was lifting right at the start-finish line, right before it. Basically middle part of the straightaways here to get that car to bite and turn into the corner. I know it's different cars, different horsepower, different driving mechanics, and so on, but different things you can come to learn to use, even though it may be a different series. It's still track time, so.
Oh yeah. Oh, we see here Brandon finally got by Jaden. That was a good little battle there. Now we're starting to see some pit stops happen there.
At Chris Cornett, Joe Stipe has brought his car into the pits, but he hasn't left for a few laps. Chris Cornett is in the pits. He was battling with Hayfield to be one car on the same lap as them, but now Christopher Campbell and Jason Pearson are one lap down respectfully, so they are fighting for the lucky dog until the leader finds eventually the other JS initialed driver, that is Justin Steves, who has really kept his nose clean, been driving really good this race. He might look to walk away with the top 5 at the end of the day, Brian.
Yes, well, I'm going to have to agree with you. He could be, as long as he hits his marks nice and smooth on that wheel. You see Brandon is now coming out of 2, as Justin is now coming out of turn 4. So that just shows you where they're at on track. But I know, Brandon is very good at tire saving. And everybody's like, well, how the heck does he do it? Well, he screws around in practice and comes out and just hits his mark the way he needs to for when the race matters, for the closing laps. Well,
him screwing around, messing around in practice is like, in a way, him finding, that limit, So he kind of gets a feel for practice. He can drive it in as deep or hard, etc., as you may want it. And he's like, oh, okay, found the limit. Now I know. Okay, I gotta back it off here. I gotta do this. I gotta point it in there. So I got to get on the brakes at this point here.
You see, Tyler Myers now making his pit stop, and that will move Justin Steves up to P3, Will.
Yeah, for the time being, we are seeing, like you talked about, this cycle of pit stops. We should not have to see another pit stop because of the way the cautions fell early and everything. Everybody should be able to go the distance from here. We're only going to have about 50-something laps in total, about 54 laps from this green flag cycle that started, so everybody should be good to go on that digital Sunoco racing fuel.
I think Brandon's pitting. Yes, he is. Justin Steves is staying out one extra lap.
Every point matters. If he can lead these laps.
That's Joe's type. My
do
bad.
What?
Too many JS's.
Now what are we doing with all the JS's?
Oh no, he's staying out an extra lap.
That's kind of what you. That's almost what you sounded like just then, Brian.
I think
Too many
Brandon
JS's.
I think Brandon just took fuel only because he was no longer in, and then.
Can't you press a button to where all the little bubbles on the all the little dots turn to like numbers, and it's like their position on track?
Yep, there you go.
Aha.
Brandon's pitting now. There you go.
Because the initials may get confusing after a while.
So in Campbell's favor, he's like, man, I can really use a caution right now. And that would really help him out a lot too as well.
So traditional points format as far as leading a lap gets you a point, most points if I'm not mistaken. So race wins. No playoffs here in the B&R Cup Series this season. Owners and admins that be decided, hey, let's just have a season where it's all based on consistency and all the points that matter. So got to respect that decision every other season or every season, kind of making different changes here and there. It doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. I like that. So
you see there, the leader just pitted. Justin Steves is now in the pits. That's going to cycle out to Jaden Sanchez being the leader.
Yeah, with Brandon Moore being the later of the last pitters in a way from the top three. So he's kind of been leapfrogged by Jaden and Tyler. He's going to have to re-overtake those two competitors because of, like we talked about, the short pitting getting the best of him at the moment. But he's... Did Jaden... I wonder if Jaden... I know Jaden pitted already, but how did he get a 15-second lead is the true question.
Brandon might have gotten loose, slid through the pits, and then came back around, and then pitted again. I don't know.
You don't think Jaden would have took just 2 tires, do you?
Well, let's see here.
Oh, the 5 and the... What is that number? Chris Cordair, I think. They got into a squabble.
That would be the 79. If
Cornette and...
If it's that Red Bull car.
Cornette and Cordair got into a squabble going into turn 3. I guess one of them wanted the real estate. So we got 3 cars out of the race now. Bridgman, Hunsaker, and Bradford. Lawson in the pits. Back in the pits. He came out and then he went back in. So still trying to diagnose or figure out the problem on the 42 car he is.
Well, let's see here.
Oh, the 5 going around, coming out of turn 4. But that's not going to bring out a caution as he spun into the pits.
Right. Yeah, they're still green. That was my bad. I was trying to see. Actually, I should have. Hold on.
Justin Steeves in danger of going a lap down here this evening. He's inside the top 5, but if I'm not mistaken, he's in danger of going a lap down to the race leader of Jaden Sanchez.
No, that's wrong.
Justin should have better tires because he
was the last one to pit out of the leaders.
Jaden was the last one? Yeah, oh no, Justin, yes, thank you. Yeah, I derailed my train of thought there, thank you. So, he should have been able to fight off or at least keep the leader at bay because he should have had fresher tires, but put up the good fight long enough and was not able to stay ahead of the race leader. So now goes a lap down, Justin Steeves. That puts 3 cars, Justin Steeves, Jason Pearson, and Christopher Campbell, 1 lap down respectfully. So those drivers going to be fighting or at least hopefully aware of that they're on the same lap and trying to stay ahead of one another.
Yes, sir. You see Justin Steeves right there, trying to get his lap back the hard way. Gonna try to get past that 22.
Yeah, it looked like on the you kept bringing up all the time in pit lane and stuff. From what I could tell, normal pit stop for Jaden and Brandon and Tyler, just normal amount of time being in the pit stall. But I think perhaps maybe I think I saw Brandon and Tyler with a little bit extra time than Jaden in total. So maybe Brandon and Tyler might have slid through the pit box or something. Not 100% sure. Maybe they did make a mistake on the pit lane. But yes, Jaden came out of the pits with a 15-second lead. So Brandon, does he have enough time to run him down? Closing in on 30. Yeah, it's 35 laps to go.
Oh, Justin. Good save, good save, good save.
Tremendous save. That car could have easily whipped around on him, but he had excellent throttle control there coming out of turn number 4. He said, let me step out of it. I stepped in it, but let me step out. That could be one reason why Justin wasn't able to hang on ahead of Jaden, was just couldn't get back to the throttle in time, maybe, Brian.
Yes, that is quite the possibility, Will. These cars are extra slick. And if you throttle, like I said, once again, you throttle up too hard, that rear is coming around. So, overall, the start of the race was pretty interesting. But after they started to figure out what they were doing. Now they got the handle of it. Now we continue to see green flag runs, so which is always good. If you want, we could do a little step away real quick and let them hear the short track, shall we say, sounds and the finessage a bit. So we'll give you a little our favorite segment before we come back. So enjoy. We gave you guys a couple of laps of the sounds of them. But Will, I just don't think Brandon is going to have enough to get up there to Sanchez.
Yeah, as we talk about almost every race, every broadcast, Brian, when we see green flag style pit stops, is the great equalizer. We always talk about it. And Jaden just somehow, some way, was better and able to get on and off this pit road than Brandon Moore and even Tyler Myers this evening, our pole sitting car in that 8. So, Jaden, dominant force here tonight, Brian. Even
Absolutely.
when Brandon ran him down, before the green flag pit stops occurred, Brandon ran him down, passed him, drove away, and then pit stops occurred. And Jaden did tremendous work getting on and off, into the box, out of the box. You know, great work off and on pit road. Don't truly know. We're just going to have to wait and hear from the drivers when we talk to them, if we do get to talk to them after the race, about just what happened. Because it it looked like they might not be too much a separation coming on and off pit road as far as Moore and Sanchez, but it turned out to not be that way. Looks like we're not even going to get 3 cars to finish on the lead lap. It might just be Moore and Sanchez to finish on the lead lap because Myers is slowly going into that, you know, zone of getting a lap down here. He is only a straightaway away from being a lap down. So with
Absolutely.
about just over 20 to go.
Brandon's slowly reeling him in, so he might have enough time to catch him, Will.
Yeah, he's slowly reeling him in. We know Brandon normally is a long run capability type of driver, and he would need that type of long run, to go back after Jaden. But, does he have enough time is the true question here tonight, Brian. I do agree with you.
Mm. With the way Brandon is going, I think he will have enough time, Will. But Brandon's just a lot more stronger through the turns than Jaden. I think Jaden's car is a little probably on the edge, so he can't let it roll as much as Brandon can. So Brandon, and we've seen it. Oh, there's that bobble. Brandon about lost it. That's gonna hurt a little bit. That is the one thing that you do not want to happen. Is losing the rear of the car, Will.
Yeah, you don't want to lose the rear of the car because, like we saw earlier in the race, that happened to some drivers, and it was not pretty. Every time of looking at it, it did not look good. So that is definitely one thing you really want to try to keep is the rear end under you, secure the throttle patience that you need, just the throttle discipline, letting it roll until you think you can have a straight exit. The car is going to be straight enough off of
Oh
each corner.
no! Just like that. Oh, that is going to hurt. I think Brandon broke that toe link. Oh, man.
Man, the car just twitched on him coming out of the final corner and into the wall it went. Very similar to what we saw with the Tide machine of Chris Cornett earlier in the race.
He might be alright. I don't know. Oh, he's coming in the pit. Very unfortunate for Brandon. Having a great run. I hate to see it for him. Really do. That was almost a caution, Will. Almost. Oh, really hate to see that for Brandon. Really do. But that's what we were talking about with the rear slipping away. Ah, well, he's coming back out, so.
Like we talked about it earlier, every point matters, and he's really going after both, Cup Series titles this year, or this current B&R Cup Series season. He's giving it a good A effort, Like we talked about, consistency. You don't have to win all the races. You just got to show up, collect the points, and you're not going to be knockout, drag out every week, but when you are, that's whenever it matters. And sometimes, that consistency of just showing up and finishing in the top 5 or top 10
and this is the battle
what you
for
need.
4th position, Will.
Yes, it is. 4th position, Pearson and Campbell going at it here. In the closing 15 laps of this race, they've caught one another. Probably started to happen a little bit sooner before that, but
Jaden's
I
setting
suppose.
the pace. But
I was going to say,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I suppose that's our closest battle on track is for 4th position between Pearson and Campbell. So, like you talked about, yes, Sanchez is setting the pace here tonight. Like we talked about, real dominant piece he brought here. Well, everybody's on the same setup, but you know what I mean, Brian. So yeah. It's a fixed series, but just able to maneuver it better than all the other competitors, Brian.
Oh yeah. P3 is just ever so slightly right behind these guys. So.
How is P3 behind these two?
And so is Jaden. Jaden's right there.
Oh.
They're coming into 3 and 4. P3
Campbell got around Pearson.
Going into 3. And they're just coming out of 4.
So it may look like Myers might actually stay on the lead lap here tonight, Brian. Unless he accidentally steps on it himself, which anything's possible here. Myers has really been holding a pretty wheel tonight. He hasn't really dropped out of the top 5 at all, I don't think.
No, he hasn't. But, well, 10 laps to go.
And like you talked about next week, Road America, man, that's going to be a tough track. 18 turn course, I do believe. I believe it's 18. And, if not, we will talk about how many turns it is for sure. But we do know it is just over 4 mile long circuit. And I tell you, it's a wonderful course. But you step one wheel wrong on that course, you outbrake yourself. Any type of mistake can happen, and it can be massive. You will find yourself in the kitty litter. You will find yourself becoming a lawnmower real easily. We've seen so many mistakes in the real world at Road America just by going, just getting it wrong ever so slightly, and how drastic of a crash it can be.
Oh yeah. You see here JP working back on that 68 Will. He wants that P4, but so does Campbell, so This is the closest battle that is out on track, at least for position. So, like I said, Tyler Myers, he's got his own little area there. He ain't got nothing to worry about. He's got somewhat of the clean air and just really hitting his marks.
Oh, yes, sir. Everybody trying to hit their marks in the closing stages of this race. So,
6 laps to go.
ever since the start of the race, like we talked about, we had a couple of cautions breeding themselves, but everybody got into the groove of it, got into the swing of things, and trying to get to the finish here. Haven't seen a caution since, what was that, about lap 10 or so? 15, something like that. So,
yes, sir, I do believe so. It's been forever long ago, shall we say. You see there, that car just wants to step out on the 13, but he does a great job by not letting it do it, because he knows Jaden is right there, right in the arms of him going 2 laps down. And Brandon Moore is right there. So Brandon Moore is 2 laps down. So Jaden goes ahead and comes up here.
If he can lap,
then
yes, if he can put a lap on these two, he could possibly gain 2 positions in the closing stages, but doesn't look like that's to be the case. As 4 laps to go, Brian.
Yes, sir, indeed. Jaden, great run by Jaden. They're very good tonight. 3 to go. You see we're right on board with him, as he's got JP and Campbell in his sights. You see him get off the throttle there. JP about almost lost her. Jaden's getting tight, so we had a downshift there.
Yeah, very tight for the 22 Pennzoil car walking up the track on the entry there. So, as we also saw, like you talked about, Jason, his car got unruly again out of turn 2. As side by side for 4th position there, Campbell and Pearson. Really good battle. Just think those guys got to do a whole nother lap if Jaden can't get by them to put them another lap down. But right here, Pearson disposes of Campbell. White flag is out, Brian.
Yes,
Jaden takes the white flag. Campbell shouldn't have to do another lap if he doesn't get back by Jaden. But Pearson, he's trying to stay ahead. So going through 3 and 4 for the final time of asking. Yes, Brandon's trying to get 5th place away from Campbell. Not going to get there in time. Jaden Sanchez will win this week at the Milwaukee Mile in the DNR. My apologies. How do you say,
Bearded Bear Customs.
Bearded Bear Customs BNR Cup Series.
Good run by Jaden. Good run by everybody.
That's why I'm not the presenter, you are. Anyway, yeah, just fantastic run by Jaden. He was able to get that clean air, and we saw he struggled a couple of times trying to get that correct line, but tremendous run by Jaden. Dominant performance here tonight. Brandon had a hiccup, but tried to get back into the top 5 in the closing laps, just couldn't get there after having that emergency service to the car. But look at who got the final spot on the podium? Justin Steves. We'll get to talk to Justin hopefully. So Jaden Sanchez, Tyler Myers, Justin Steves is the podium finishers. Jason Pearson, fourth place after that knockout, drag-out fight with Christopher Campbell in the closing laps. Brandon Moore is sixth after maybe possibly having something for Jaden, but finding the outside retaining wall with about, 20 to go, Brian. Clint Hayfield is seventh. Pete Woodrum is eighth. Eric Corder, ninth. Joe Stite, 10th. That rounds out the top 10. Chris Cornett, 11th. Paul Lawson in the 42 in 12th. Philip Bridgman, 13th. Matthew Hunsaker, 14th. And Aaron Bradford rounds out the field tonight in 15th. As Brian wrangles up the podium finishers. Jaden burning it down, celebrating that win here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile.
So we'll go ahead and bring Justin in. Where's he at? Okay. Justin, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
How is it going?
My arms hurt and my knee is killing me.
So yes, tonight the Milwaukee Mile taking a physical toll, unlike what we've seen at the super speedways and other tracks, more of a mental fatigue there, but short tracks always really bring out the physical fatigue. Justin, talk about tonight, your run. You played the patience, just biding through the traffic, letting everybody falter, if you will, and you found your way into the podium, man. That is, congratulations tonight, and love to see it. Wish you were able to finish up here more often, man, so we could talk to you more. But, yeah, Justin, tell us how you did it and kind of what you were struggling with out there.
Mostly struggling with the pace of the car. Say, I was pretty much had to wait for everybody's tires to fall off before I could start catching and passing people, and I stayed out way too long during that cycle of green flag pit stops because I was only maybe 4.5 back from Tyler, and he went in and pitted. I'm probably should have pitted the lap after him. And I killed those tires as soon as I came out of pit road because I'm well, if Jaden or Brandon doesn't mess up, Tyler's the closest person to me. I killed my tires trying to get back up to him. And I saw Brandon go into pit road. I'm okay, I can start backing it down some now. I don't need to try to wreck the car trying to get back up to Ty.
Right, so you kind of, once you saw, the 88 in the pits like you talked about, it was basically all right back to that conserve mode. I don't have to struggle as much. I'm still going to get, a good finish tonight. And that's exactly what you got. Next week is Road America, so we're still staying in Wisconsin for the most part.
Gosh. Oh gosh, not a road course.
Yeah, we're throwing it early in the season. So Road America, it's going to be a little bit more physical next week, don't you think, Justin?
I'm gonna be lucky if I finish the race on the lead lap.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, there's only 2 tonight, but still, regardless.
I struggle bus like a mess on those road courses. I have not been able to get those down.
No, they were kind of always my fault as well. Like maybe NASCAR Inside Line was probably the best I ever had on road courses. But anyway, uh, tonight was mainly just a tire, and like we talked about earlier, it was kind of also a single groove track. However, whichever lane you could get your car to stick in the best was where you were going to uh, be able to fare, right? So, got any final thoughts, shout outs, Justin, you'd like to thank before we let you go celebrate this, podium finish, Justin?
I wanted to thank Napa Auto Parts and Mountain Dew Baja Blast for getting me through the race.
Well, there you go. Well, best of luck to you at Road America. It is going to be a doozy of a track. Watch out for, as well as the kitty litter and all that other snazzy turns throughout Road America next week. And also, congratulations on the podium finish. That would help you move up a little bit, hopefully, in the points there, and see what you got next week.
Yep, I'm going to practice there at that track because road courses are very difficult for me, which is why I have like a 400 IR for road racing.
You're good. Well, all right, sir. Congratulations on the podium finish, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, Tyler Myers.
And ooh, there we go.
Myers.
Well,
Well, yes, what up? How you doing? You qualified on pole tonight. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to keep it there tonight, but good run nevertheless. You got that P2 spot on the podium. And tell us about how you did it tonight, Tyler, and what you were struggling with out there, what everybody was also kind of struggling with.
seems like just a little bit of handling, just different areas of, it's tight. Some areas, loose some areas, or you have too much gas or too much brake. It just, want to step out and you have to catch it. Unfortunately, that cost you time.
Now, you have experience at New Hampshire, so it's a mile track. This is a mile track. Were you taking anything that you kind of learned from another track, maybe kind of trying to incorporate it here?
I was sort of running this place like New Hampshire. It's just not. I think it's a little flatter than New Hampshire, so it had to accommodate the flat, and apex is a little different. Each corner had a different apex. I felt like just 3 and 4 just seems like it's a longer turn.
Right.
Than 1 and 2. But all in all, it was. I liked the track. It was fun.
Next week, Road America. What's the expectations and maybe preparation going into Road America?
It's gonna hurt. No. All I gotta say is I'm not too sure on road courses right now, especially in these cars. But go in there and give her hell.
All right. Well, any final thoughts, shout-outs, anything you'd like to add before we let you go celebrate this, podium finish here tonight, Tyler?
Nah, just let's keep on getting. Those 2 first cautions kind of hurt, but if we kept going, no cautions. But it is what it is.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us tonight. Best of luck to you next week and moving forward as well.
Oh yeah, like.
Now for Jaden, our race winner tonight.
Mr. Jaden,
Hi.
how are you?
So, yeah, how are you? Kind of got back-to-back wins. I know it's not in the same series, but you won Saturday in the B&R Cup Open at Auto Club, and now you kind of had a dominant piece here tonight. Just tell us how you did it, Jaden. You know, kind of a similar track to New Hampshire, but not exactly the same track. New Hampshire is more flatter than Milwaukee. So what could you have had to maybe what were you struggling with? What was going well for you? We rode on board with you a little bit, so we kind of already know a little bit. But tell us from your point of view, Jaden.
Um, I don't know. Really, that whole race was like a test for me because I've never driven there in the Cup cars ever. So, yeah, no, it was the, the race was pretty interesting to say the least. I know Brandon was really quick. I expected him to catch me. I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. I think he said he wrecked, but yeah, that always sucks. I mean, I don't know. Um, but yeah, no. Overall, I guess the car was good. I mean, I I don't have too much experience at the track, so I really couldn't tell whether when the tires were like getting like when I was getting tight or when I was like getting like loose or something like that. It just felt natural. I don't know how to really explain it. Like
I got you, Cole Trickle.
like the car just I don't know. Like I had no issues pretty much tonight. I mean, I didn't push, I didn't spin or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
you really kept your nose clean tonight. Yes.
yeah, no, I just tried not wrecking the car, which is I'd say I get an A+ for doing that today. So I don't know.
Yeah, an A plus plus.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I mean, like I said, I don't have too much experience at uh, what's the track name again? I forget.
The Milwaukee Mile.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of like I said, experience. So really, I couldn't tell when the car was getting like tight because it just every lap felt the same. Just it was slower. So yeah, no. But the battle with Brandon for those few laps before he took off on me was pretty good. And
Yeah, it was.
then
Yeah, he gave you a couple of shots, letting you know he was there.
yeah, he did. I knew I couldn't let him under me, so I just backed it up because to not let him have a chance at all getting to my under me. Because then once he was under me, I didn't want to. I know I could. Sorry, I knew I couldn't like chop block him because that wouldn't be fair and stuff like that. So like I just couldn't risk letting him have the bottom at all. So yeah, no, he just went on the high side. He went up on the high side and yeah, he was gone. And after that, I just couldn't catch him into the pit stop. So yeah, overall, it was pretty good. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, it was
All
a
right.
good night. So yeah.
Outstanding night for you. Dominant force tonight after you got in that clean air and you broke away after the first couple of cautions happened. And like you said, that battle with Brandon was pretty epic, I'd have to say. It was a good short track battle you guys had before the pit stop sequence. And I don't know how you did it, Lightning McQueen, getting on and off pit road in the box and everything, but you pulled out a 15-second lead after the pit stop sequence, and Brandon was trying to run you back down, but like you said, he did find a wall, so he was hard charging you, but just couldn't do it tonight. Unfortunate for the 88 team, but great for you standing on top of the podium. And got any final thoughts, shout outs next week, Road America? What's those thoughts leading into Road America?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I would like to get a win there. I mean, last the first year I think I finished fifth, and then the second year I finished second. Sorry, I finished second. Um, so I would like to finish one more. I'm very good at road courses, but I know Brandon is too. But Road America is a long track, is a long road course, so I mean anything can happen. So we'll see. Um, but I don't expect anything less though. It's going to be a good race. So yeah. But yeah, shout out to you guys for the stream and for running this league. You guys are good. So yeah.
Well, Jaden, congratulations on the win. Thanks for talking to us tonight, and go celebrate that win, bud.
Thanks.
All right. That will do it here from the Bearded Bear Customs Fixed Cup
Bearded
Series.
Bear Customs. Yeah.
Great run by everybody. It was an outstanding race, that's for sure. Couldn't be any more impressed. Started off a little iffy, but they end up maintaining their composure at their own track. Very unfortunate, only 2 drivers finished on the lead lap. But nonetheless, the battles between the 22 and the 88. But I hated to see it for the 88 to lose it. He had a very quick car, very consistent. So, from myself, Brian, to Will, I want to thank you guys for coming out here tonight, tuning in, watching the show. I know it felt like forever, but we'll be back again. Me and Will will be back again Tuesday from when the trucks go to Texas, and then we'll be back again. Well, actually, Monday we'll be back with the AMS Cup Series, and then Tuesday at Texas, and then Thursday at Road America. You can catch Will and Chris on Saturday night when we head to Watkins Glen. So we want to thank you guys for coming out. Everybody be safe.